Hey there. Welcome to the Hookup Baits podcast. We're doing a little boys session to talk about the guys' success this year with the Saltwater Bass Series. We have Tom and Cash Troop, the Bay Bashers, also the Ambassador Hookup Bait team. So, and then they also do the tournament as one of the Hookup Baits rookie teams. So, but you guys were Rookie of the Year this year for the 2 times in a row, Rookie of the Year. So they got the AOI, what you accumulate through points through all the tournaments through the season. And then they qualified for the championship this year. And so the Saltwater Bass Series, they have the Rookie Family Division, and then they have the Masters Division. But for the championship, they take the top 10 rookies and then the top 15 Masters, and everybody fishes together or against each other. So for the championship, there is no rookie, there is no Masters. And you guys ended up taking 3rd place at the championship against 15 other master teams. So
And the big boys, we got to play with the big boys.
Played in the big leagues and still kicked butt. So, so I want to go over your guys' game plan and what you guys did, and share a story of how your season and your championship went this year for with Saltwater Bass Series.
Well, Cash and I have a pretty basic approach to tournament fishing. This being now is our 4th year doing it. Mm-hmm. So like all the jitters and stuff are out, and we realize that a tournament fishing day is just a measure of what you do on any normal day, you know? Mm-hmm. So we kind of do the same thing. However, we just put, fish what you're comfortable at fishing. You know, we don't start trying to copy what other people do, or, you know, people catch big ones in certain areas where our boat doesn't reach. We don't worry about that. We go out, we have fun, and we just try to capitalize and don't miss out on any of the stuff happening in the zone that we can reach. So, our dynamic is basically I'm the chauffeur, he's the heavy lifter, right, Cash?
He's the slayer.
Yes. Yeah, when I drive and I make sure I put us on the fish. Cash is usually the first one to cast, first one to catch a lot of the times, right?
Yeah. And a lot of times, we kind of go back and forth. I mean, there's been some tournaments where he can't get a bite, and I'm catching, a 4 or 5 pounder almost every cast. And then there also is tournaments where I cannot. I mean, we all get a few, but there's definitely days where, he's getting a lot more than I am, and vice versa.
It's a balance for sure.
Yes,
and it's the same with me now. So
right.
Sometimes Al's the hot stick, sometimes I am, and or sometimes we both are. So it I think that goes with every team. And that's how it should be.
Right.
So
well, we use hookup baits always. That's the only thing we use is hookup baits the whole way through. We haven't caught a fish on anything but hookup baits in any of the Saltwater Bass Series tournaments.
Hence why you're always at the top.
Right, which really that so kind of what I was getting at is that is a huge advantage. It is. It's a very great bait to use. I think it's unmatched. But beyond that, I think we just convince ourselves that we're like super underdogs. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you definitely are with your boat.
Right. Equipment wise, we have good rods and reels. We use all the spinning gear, Shimano, pretty much. We really fell in love with the Saragossa setups. We're doing the 5 and 6,000s and the 8,000s, and we structure fish. So we basically kind of convince ourselves that. Psych ourselves up by like, oh my gosh, we can't go. If I had a plan, like a game plan, since I'm the mapper and I kind of pick where we go. Mm-hmm. Where I want to fish isn't usually where we do fish. The things that like on the championship, if I had a perfect game plan, it probably would have reflected a lot more like what you did. Start down at the pipe. There's big fish there, and but when reality strikes, we got a boat with a short range and that doesn't operate real well, so we stay close.
Yeah, and sometimes that works out because our smaller limit was the day we fished the pipe all day. We got a bigger limit fishing where you fished the whole tournament at. So.
And we had a flip-flop. Like you guys had big sand bass that day, but we had better calico that day. So if you could have got the calico and the sand bass, it lights out. But But so I think all 5 events, the first one being in Newport, we felt pretty strong at that because we pre-fished a lot for the Christmas one. I think we got first or third.
We fished it as a team.
Right,
and we
did
got
that
first
as
place.
a team. So we were real comfortable in that. So that was actually our worst score, even though we were, I think it was 7th place.
Better than us. We got 25th place at that one. Started off the season with a bang.
Right. Well, didn't match pre-fishing at all. So with the tsunami and all the stuff that came through that day,
Yeah, the bite totally changed on that one.
Totally tripped.
It threw me off, as it threw you guys off.
So we kind of came in like on heels on that one. So then again, there we go in underdog mode. Like, oh, dude, we better put it together. Second tournament, Long Beach. Cash and I are like, oh, Long Beach, historically we don't do so good up there in tournaments, but for fun fishing we always do great. So that's the one where we really picked the harbor apart, and we ended up winning it. Again, pre-fishing every single weekend. We actually went to Long Beach on Sunday after the Saturday tournament in Newport. That's how shook we were. We're starting pre-fishing for the next one tomorrow.
a month early.
Yeah, and so we did it. Actually, that paid off. Cash got dialed in on the spotty fishing. That was one of our weaknesses, and so we were good at that. And we found a couple spots that the calico bit, and we actually won that tournament. And that was our first saltwater bass series win. Right? I mean, froze our first place, first big check.
Yeah, and no, I mean, what I found very interesting about that tournament, and this is something I'll never forget. So we pull up to our first spot, and first cast, he gets like a little sand bass, like just a typical, cookie cutter, barely legal Long Beach sand bass. I'm like, okay, it's going to be one of those tournaments. Next cast, he's like, oh, I'm bit. He's reeling up this gnarly fish, 5-pound calico. And I'm like, wow.
It was 5.5 cash.
5.5
really matters.
Yeah, it does in a tournament.
It bit like on the sink, like right off the surface. And we almost lost that one at the rail. I was bringing it in. He's all net. And I'm like, I'm flipping it. Do the big macho flip, and it hits the rail and falls back in the water. We're like, ah! And then we got it in. And we were like, yes. We didn't measure it. We didn't nothing. We were just like, we caught it shallow. We didn't have to vent it. We're just like, it's a good one. Put it away. Yeah. And then
and it's actually funny. The very next cast, I throw the double rig. I had a 2.5 and a 3-pound and a 3-pound sand bass. I'm like, wow, we're really catching a lot here. And we moved on. And we're like, okay, we got a decent limit right now. Let's try to get a spotty, because we had a misconception. We thought if you get all 3 species, it's 5 extra points for the series for Angler of the Year. It's not. It's for the championship.
Yeah, just for qualifying.
To qualify for the championship.
I thought it was like that too. Until you guys told me. I saw that you guys weren't the only one that was.
Oh, we were going to trifecta every tournament was our goal. No matter where we placed, he'd give us 5 extra points. Is what we thought. But it makes sense the way he does it.
Yeah,
so you can't
it's better.
capitalize it.
Yeah, and
so before 8 o'clock, we're going for spotties already. We had got fish that we felt were good. We say, let's put time in for spotties.
And, we're like, okay, we had some very good pre-fishing for spotties. And, we pull up to the spot. I make a bomb cast down, bomb cast into the spot. 2 pops off the bottom, get just absolutely destroyed. I'm I make this super, I'm reeling it in. I'm like, oh, this is gnarly. There's a lot of sand bass in that harbor, Sometimes it's not always going to be a spotty there. Well, I got lucky. This time was a 14.5-inch spotty. I'm like, yes, we have.
Well, and Long Beach is super crusty.
Very crusty.
So we planned ahead, and you were fishing, 8-pound test?
Yeah. 8-pound test.
Yeah, he always does this in tournaments. He'll use real light line to get a bite, and just dude, that and the big spotty you got 2 years ago at Mission Bay were total. I was sweating that it would make it in the boat, just because you touch anything with 8-pound, it's gone.
It's gone instantly.
But he got that one, and we were like, high five. We're like, we're good. And then we went back to a zone that we had a lot of fun fishing for spotties, and we were getting good ones when we pre-fished, but we went back, and it was just super fun, but no big ones. And we're like, we're going to do better if we go back out and go for a sand bass. And we did. We got a better sand bass, came in. Super stoked for the win on that one. The competition's always really good in the rookie field. I mean, it is rookie, but these guys.
I think you guys got the heaviest bag of everybody. That one, even if
we were one short
you
of
would have
the
been second place of your
Yeah.
Masters.
right,
Yeah.
right.
That's still awesome.
Yeah,
So-
it was a good one for us.
So
And
let's go through the rest of the season real quick, but really want to know about your strategy for the championship.
the championship.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think we went through your series already on another podcast. we
okay,
just
so
did.
Marina Del Rey was that next? No. It went Long Beach back to San Diego.
Bay.
San Diego, we
Yeah,
got
San Diego
we kind of
Bay
got our
only.
butts handed us because that's where being familiar with a place really beat us up, and we learned from that. We felt so confident that if one spot wasn't working, we could move to the next because we just were like spot rich. We knew a lot of places. So we ended up hopping around a lot, and I think if we just stayed and grinded it out with our normal style, we would have done better.
Yeah.
But I mean, we didn't do terrible. We were still inside the top 10, and then then it goes Marina Del Rey. Yeah, then it went Marina Del Rey, and we're like, yeah, Marina Del Rey. Like we
you guys
love.
are the same as us. When it's the Bay stuff, like we're the half the season this year, where I was Bay, and finally it gets to the outside. I'm like, all right, here's my game.
let's go.
Let's
Yeah.
go. You know, that's in where you guys fish the same exact technique as we fish.
Right.
That's that's why we feel the same about. Yes, let's
Right.
go outside already. That's our game.
Yeah,
We're hard to beat out there.
right. Consistent. We catch consistently, you know. So our first that tournament we were based on 2 spots, and one was close and one was down in Palos Verdes. And in pre-fishing, my boat was running all right, so we made it to Palos Verdes and had good fishing. Come tournament day, bam, the boat's running like crap right out the gate. Took us 30 minutes to get to like just a couple miles away, and we just stayed there all day, and we stayed in one zone and just dug and cast, and we got second that one, so we were super stoked. Again, feeling kind of crippled, so you just try harder, you know. And then last one was in Long Beach. And that one was kind of a tearjerker. My dad was real sick at the time, and Cash and I were like, hey, let's do this for my dad, you know, and we're like, put in, grinded, and that was the outside tournament. And that's where, sorry guys,
That's calico only.
calico bass love stones, you know, and if you want to go fish the kelp shallow, you can. But if you want to tap into the piggy bank where they're always at, you just got to figure out how deep, but they are deep. They're always deep.
And you know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here or our own horn. I mean, we destroyed these guys. They didn't even come
Yeah,
close.
you guys did great there.
Yeah,
that's again where your pre-fishing paid off on that
Yeah.
one. You pre-fished it very hard, harder than anybody, and you found the fish that nobody else found.
Yeah.
And you kept your mouth closed about it and made it happen.
Yeah, and we hammered that one, and we were like, yes, we won. So that set us in to go to the championship, which was just that was a really good feeling too.
So you guys had 2 wins.
Yeah, I was say to get
2
another,
first place and the rookies this year, right?
and both in Long Beach.
That
And I
got
had my
weird.
heart set. Our biggest goal since ever was always to win the check with San Diego on it, because that's like our hometown. Like we want to get San Diego check.
hometown big check.
Oh, dude, just a picture of San Diego hanging in the house like that. It's like, yes. But so we won that. We were stoked that we'd be going to San Diego for the championship.
And you know, we pre-fished and we fished our normal areas, and you know, it was okay. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was great. I mean, we did all right. You know, we had about 12, 13 pounds for pre-fishing. Like, all right, we'll see how this goes. And then, you know, tournament day comes up, and we're like, all right, gonna fish like we always do. Just have fun. I wasn't really sweating it. We get to the first spot and we start hammering them. I mean, first drop, I got 2 4-pound calicos. He gets another 2 4-pound calicos. So I'm like,
We're like, oh, it's going to be like this.
it's gonna be like, and all day we roped them. You know, we caught so many fish. It was just a great day of fishing. You know, we came back in. I'm like, all right, let's see what we got. And we weighed our biggest bag ever, which of right now is 1943. I remember that vividly.
Well, and we had we're super anxious about finding the sand bass in like Point Loma right there, because calico all day. We love the calico fishing there. The sand bass are a little trickier there. You know, sometimes there's a lot of them around, and sometimes there's not. You know, so
I've noticed that for Point Loma, if you go south of Point Loma Pipe, there's a lot more sand bass. You go north of the pipe, it's a lot more calicos.
makes sense. Yeah.
And so you guys were fishing the northern.
We're fishing
end.
north of the pipe, and we on just one drift, I'm like, all right, we're going to go out deeper. Like, we're going to hit the sand where there's nothing and drift in to the structure that we're fishing with the thoughts of paralleling that structure at the base of the drop-off where it meets the structure. And boom, I plugged a 4.5-pound sand bass. We caught 2 sand bass that day. That was it. We didn't get any, and that was the 2 that we weighed. It was like, whew. So that was day 1.
And then day 2, at day 1 we were sitting in 4th, and we're like, okay, we're in the striking zone. Everybody had to ride about 20 pounds, and we were right there at 19. I'm like, okay, we might be able to win this thing, like maybe. Next day we come out fishing, super slow.
Yeah,
super slow.
Sunday was tough.
Well, yeah, it was wide open. Then you could catch whatever you want the second day, and this is like
and
every
you guys got to fish the same exact place both days of the championship.
Right.
I know they usually try to switch it up a little bit to force you fish different places, and it's just to remind people that the first day of the tournament you needed 3 and 2, 3 calicos or 3 sand bass, and then 2 of the other. Where I went down to the pipe, and we were catching 4 to 5 pound sand bass all day, but the calicos were hard to get anything nice and calico wise. Where you fished up at Point Loma, and the calicos were biting very well.
Exactly.
But you got those 2 sand bass you talked about. So day 2, it was you can get 5 of any. So it could be all sand bass, it could be all calicos, it could be a mix, or you can do the option of fishing either one of the bays for spotties, and it's timed double the weight. So and so we both had the same pretty much plan on the second day. We were both fishing Point Loma and just fishing the deep water structure, the deep water drop off. I just covered more of it than you guys. You guys started north and came south. I went all the way to the south and went north.
We crisscrossed in the middle, and then we went back. We went down. We didn't go all the way to the pipe. There was a couple zones that we had done a lot of pre-fishing in. Mm-hmm. We fished on some really tough days in pre-fishing, and it was funny because I marked a couple spots where we had luck when it was tough, and those paid out in the tournament. So again, pre-fishing, it did really help us in that one.
This is a funny story. So we're fishing, and we had a limit, but I was like, crap, we don't have that much. We don't have as much as I wanted. And I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? I don't care what we come in with. And literally, that once the words came out of my mouth, he goes, oh, I'm bit. That's a good one. 5.5 pound calico. I'm like, okay. All right, we'll see. And then this guy just put on a clinic on big calico after big calico. And I'm like,
we got a sand bass bite going at the end. So I told Cash that day, the way the tide was running, that I'm like, I have confidence that there will be a bite at the end of the day. Like when the tide rolls, I think there's going to be a bite, and we just got to make sure we keep fishing, and once we get on them, maybe we'll get lucky. And we did. It turned into a nice bite at the end of the day. A lot of sand bass, not real big ones, but and it's cool. We're catching them in places we don't normally catch them, so it was fun. And then, so I think we're supposed to take a break, but we got all the suspense built up here. Maybe we'll come back and
we'll be right back.
Cool.
We're back with Tom and Cash Troop, the Bay Bashers, talking about their season with the Saltwater Bass Series. So we're talking about the championship, day 2.
Yeah, so day 1 we were blown away that we were in the top 4. Obviously, there's 2 people. If I closed my eyes and said these 2 people are going to be at the top, it's Chad and Al and Matt Kobsef and Rex.
Yes.
Consistent. Those 2 teams historically are at the top, and they're going neck and neck for the top spot.
Yeah, Matt and Rex are first after the first.
So yeah,
by a little ways too, a few pounds.
They were the only people that had separation. They were like 24 pounds at range, something like that. And then everybody else was clustered right around 20.
Yeah, 19, 20. Yeah.
And we were in 4th, but we were all within a pound of second place. So when we came in and
Yeah,
had
we
that,
were in third after the first day. So.
right, and we were right behind you.
Yeah.
But when we came in, it's always great because we come in early because we're always afraid something's going to happen with the boat and we need a little extra time. So we came in a little early, and it's always just so great to hear Jerry go, "We have a new leader," and like we knew it was early, but we're like, "Yeah!" It just felt
It's
great.
always nice to hear, though,
It
right?
felt great, yeah. But so second day goes out, we do our stuff like we just said, but we're coming in, and on day one, I had measured. I play fish doctor, really. I'm the one that fizzes the fish. We use the men's bender. Jerry taught us about that, and all the staff for the crew. Actually, Justin Akumba took some time and showed me how to vent the fish. So I learned from him, and I think I'm pretty good at it, actually. You know, Cash and I are pretty good at keeping them alive. And so I'm always kind of processing them on the way in. And so the first day I weighed every fish, added total, and I came up with 17 and change. And I told Cash we're doing pretty good. And we weighed almost 9.5, 9.43. So we were like, oh, this is the first time in history that sway went in our favor. Usually I'm weighing them a little heavier than they actually are because the boat, you never know, it's moving.
Yeah.
And so day 2, we're done fishing. We called it. We did come in a little early, which we kick ourselves in the butt now for because within a shaving we could have got a step closer to winning. But we got to be safe. We got to make it back, So
Yeah, well, I mean, that's your guys' biggest thing you have against you is you don't have as much time as everybody else does.
No.
I know with my boat, it's fast and it's reliable. I'm always to the minute.
Right.
I'm always down to the limit, So we fish as much, and then we're usually the first ones to the spot that we're going to. So it's, we maximize our fishing time.
Like polar
guys,
opposites.
Exactly.
You're like you're like Flash Gordon, and we're like the turtle. So, but we're coming in, and I weigh the fish, and they weighed 19 pounds. And I'm like, Cash, they weigh 19 pounds. If our scale is the same as it was, dude, we might have broke 20 pounds because we've been trying to break 20 pounds in a tournament. Mm-hmm. On fun fishing days, we're able to get multiple 4s and 5s and get over 20 pound for your best 5, but we've never done it in a tournament. So we're like, dude, and then so when we were coming into, I remember we weighed and we got 1904, which is like super ironic because numerically the 19th letter is S and the 4th letter in the alphabet's D in San Diego, SD, 1904. That's for all you homeboys out there. But so we ended it with an SD in SD, and we were like, I remember Chad and Now were coming in, and now, usually I'm just like, oh, how'd you do? And I'm like hoping he won, and I'm hoping he won, but I'm hoping we won, know? And I'm like,
yeah, it's a little different on this.
And I'm like, how'd you do? And he's all, we got 20. And I'm thinking, you better got 20 because we almost did too. And they won. Yeah. So they won. They got first place.
20-something. So.
They did have 20, and then
and luckily Cobb's Chips that Matt and Rex they bombed.
Right, they didn't get the.
They had their good lead, but then they bombed the second day, and then Anthony, which was in second place.
Well, he played cat with us, and he's like, I'm like, oh, how'd you do? Because he caught a huge monster sand bass the day prior, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, how'd you do? He's like, nah. He was like all deflated, and we're like, oh my God. Hookup baits in first and second. This would be awesome. But him. I think Connor is his teammate. Anthony and Connor.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And they did well. Well enough.
They've been consistent the last couple of years.
Yeah, they turned it on and just killed it.
Yeah.
They got second for the overall. They got second in the CCA. They got second in the championship.
Second at Olive Crest.
Yeah, second at Olive Crest.
Yeah, they had a whole lot of seconds this year.
Yeah, so
which is nothing wrong with that.
And they beat us by a fraction of a pound. But we are so proud to be on the podium against the big dogs, and again, all the guys we really respect and look up to. To share that with them, it was really cool. Yeah. My whole family was there because my father had passed away, and they came out to check it out. And my dad's from Mission Bay, so it was like we were in Mission Bay on his stomping grounds. I got a little teared up at the ceremony. I dedicated the win and the year and everything to my dad.
You cried in front of all your friends.
I cried in front of all my buddies. Actually, when we were recording podcasts earlier, like tears just came up in my eyes. Like, I don't know, just it happens. I'm still kind of mourning the whole deal, but that was a cool thing, to be on his stomping grounds with my brother and his family, my sister, and my mom. They were all there, so it was really cool. I felt like my father was with us, and
that's awesome.
And Cash just did great, dude. Like you get the highs and lows when you compete like that. You get like the nervousness, like, oh my gosh, man, we're not doing as good as the day before or whatever. And I remember I look at Cash and I go, you know what? We got 5 fish. We're beating somebody, we're beating someone,
Exactly.
There's someone that probably doesn't have 5 fish yet. And then, but I think a lot of our success is due to using hookup baits, the guidance we've gotten from you, and really we listen to everybody, even if they're not using hookup baits.
Yeah,
I'm listening to
that's one thing you do better than me, because I only trust myself.
Right.
And I'm just that way. I just always done things my own way and the way I do them, and I don't really trust too much of. I don't ask anybody else for advice or where to go, what to do. Where you do that very well. You're on social media talking to all these different guys, seeing what they do, seeing what they've been catching, and all that stuff. And I always kind of admire that about you. It's like you soak in information from all over the place. Where I just play my game no matter what is going on. I play my game.
I honestly, I don't like I go Ronald Reagan on it. What do they say? He says, trust but verify, right? So everything everybody tells me, I take into account. Whether they're fishing glide baits on the surface in 4 feet of water, whether they're fishing spinner baits over the grass, whatever they're doing, I then go, I could do that with a hookup bait.
Oh, yeah.
I could do that with a hookup bait, and then I got to test it.
If
and
they're
be
catching fish, I'm going to catch it.
Right, like, oh, they had a knockout day there. Well, let me see if I can do the same with an application of a hookup bait, because there's a lot of people think that, and even myself, since it is so effective vertically, that's it. That's the big show vertically. No. Okay, go do the trout retrieve over the grass in Mission Bay and see what happens.
You
just
catch all the spotties you want.
Oh, just nicking over the top of the grass, or go
throw it in the kelp. I mean, on championship day, this is the second day, we did. We're catching fish on one drift, and so we ended up getting into the kelp, and it just went wide open on calicos. I mean, it was every cast 2 at a time, two, but they're all 12 to
they're all
15 inch.
2-pounders.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun as heck. It was wide open bite, and I was like, hey, wide open back, and said, okay, we got to get out of here. Now I was like, we're catching them, but we're not catching the right ones. And so we went back out to the deep where you got lots of cast in between bites,
right?
But those fish are all 5 to 6 pounds.
They're
that's
counting.
what you got to do. You got to catch less, but you had to be where the quality fish were, And I think we were both doing the same thing, where a lot of the guys in the tournament were up there pounding that kelp and catching 2-pounders.
And it's so funny, since Chad basically taught me all the boat positioning stuff that I know, because I really never drove a skiff before, his teaching me. Like that day we were fishing and I saw Chad, like I straight up told Cash, I was like, Chad's having the same day we're having right now. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, look at him. He's drifting.
We were doing exactly the same thing.
He's not repeating his drifts, because as we were crossing, we were watching what they were doing to see what they were doing, and he wasn't resetting his drifts and stuff, and that tells me, like, he's not on a hot bite either, dude. They're just searching everywhere just the same as us, and I'm like, okay, cool. And we even tucked inside the kelp, and there was a couple high spots inside the kelp that we had success on the day prior. And the weeks prior. And Al told me, because I was talking to him about everything afterwards, your teammate Al, he's like, yeah, we saw you guys go inside, and we were like, maybe we should go inside. And I'm like, yeah, we went inside, we didn't get anything, so we came back out.
I remember he did say that. He's like, oh, they're going into the kelp. And that's when we just came out of the kelp.
Right.
And I told him, well, we just found out what's in the kelp.
Right.
And then you guys only stayed there for like 10 minutes, came back out. And I'm like, see? So... Yeah, but and that's me now we're talking like how well you guys did and everything else, and that tournament was totally our game, that deep structure.
Yeah,
and we basically fished the same. We did, basically you guys are
without communicating.
Exactly.
I do and what you do are now kind of very similar.
Exactly. Yeah, just because all the knowledge passed and you guys soaked it up so well. You position the boat like me. You think about the drifts like I do. You guys use the exact same baits that we do, same mound line, actually even the same rods.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, you just got a new depth finder, so now
I had to step it up. You guys are catching up too quick.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but Chad's boat has, I don't know, this was a 10, 12-year-old Hook 7.
Yeah, the Hook 7.
Forever. That's all it was.
That's what it came on.
Lawrence
from Freedom Boat Club.
Yeah, Lawrence Hook 7. No side scan, no nothing.
Just a basic little fish finder.
Straight down scan, and Navionics available right next to it on a tablet. So it's not always about having the best electronics.
Nah.
Your instincts and how you know how to fish, and just being able to read what you have is super important. So, but now that he got the Ray Marine, upgraded side scan, I don't know what's going to happen now.
Funny. When I went to West Marine to buy it, I talked to the fish finder guru, and he's like, "Oh, well, you tournament fishing, so you need this, and you need that, and you this, that, all this stuff." I'm like, "No, that's just a simple. I just need simple. I don't need all this stuff, all these things. I need it to just. I have a Hook 7, and I knew exactly what that thing was telling me all the time, and so you can't buy just that simple of a fish finder anymore. Now they all come with all the stuff, So
I felt like you went back in for a transducer, and they're like, no, we don't even make those anymore. You're going to need a whole new setup.
Well, luckily it was my transducer that broke. It wasn't the bracket like we thought.
Oh.
Yeah, my transducer broke off my boat, so that's what made me go get it. But I used it for the first time yesterday, and I first had it set up with all these neat things and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I can't really tell what it's telling me and stuff. And so I ended up setting it up just like my Hook 7 with the regular sonar and then the down scan, split screen. And it showed a lot more detail on the downscaling of all the structure and stuff, and it showed the fish really good. So it does everything my Hook 7 was doing, just clear. That's all.
You went from a Casio calculator watch to an Apple Watch right now.
Yeah, basically something like that. Just a slight upgrade. It's nothing crazy.
Cool. But as for tournament fishing, a lot has to be said about my son and fishing with my son. I'm getting to create these memories that are just unparalleled with the person I love the most in the world. It's crazy. And then learning from him, and he and I we get after each other on the water sometimes. I'm like, "Argh," and he's like, but, you get through it, huh? Dad gets crabby.
There's times where it's like, we're all, sunshines and rainbows, and then there's times where we're like trying to fist fight each other in the face.
Yeah, I gotta keep it G-rated, but sometimes I'm like, back off, dude. You're being a D, Or he can say that to me too. That's one thing we've always had on the boat is pirate code.
Yeah.
Like, dude, don't sugarcoat anything. When you're on the boat, you want to know about anything, put it out there. No sugarcoating anything. If I'm being a jerk,
totally cool.
Tell me to shut up. I'll tell you can't tell your dad to shut up, but
that's one thing me and Al's always gotten along, and I can't even think of any time me and Al's ever been gotten in an argument or anything. Al, something like the second day of the tournament, Al gets a little panicked. He always usually trusts my game plan and what I have stuff and what I have planned out and stuff, and, but then every once in a while he'll get, because we're in third place, he's used to it on championships. We're always in first after the first day, especially if the pipe's involved. We're always in first. So this is the first time we actually got beat. We're in third place, and then our second day wasn't like our pre-fishing. It was already like starting slow, and he started panicking. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. And I'm like, dude, let's just keep doing what we always do.
Right.
We just got to keep on going. And luckily, and then he caught like that almost 5-pound sand bass, and I'm like, see, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, I got to tame him down. Like, why are we going to start doing something different during a championship? That's the kind of thing. Or it's just, I can see he's panicking. He's trying to figure something out, So.
Right. Well, if something's not working, it makes sense to try something else. There's like a fine line.
You got to know when to do it and when not to do it.
There's a fine line, So, but in all, the tournament fishing has been huge for us. With it being Cash's main thing he likes to do for fun fishing, then being in San Diego
So this
Anglers.
was a high school sport. You'd be varsity, huh?
Yeah, I
Dude, if we lived in the Midwest, this guy would have a full ride scholarship
Yeah, I
for
know,
bass
right?
fishing, you know? But we live in California, and saltwater fishing isn't as marketable as, the freshwater
stuff,
in the Midwest, but we're changing it around.
Yeah. Well, you guys have came so far, so quick. I mean, I've never seen anybody that I fish with that has advanced as fast as you guys. And it's just, you guys soak it up, and it's just, and you soak it up and then do it, and you do it right, and so it's just, you guys, I mean, now you guys are fishing the Masters next year, so that's gonna, and people are actually scared of you guys.
We're
fishing
gonna
the
give them
Masters.
hell.
That's
Like
awesome.
we are literally. If you thought we were scared, underdog mode in rookie, going to the Masters, we are gonna be shook and giving it our all. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
we're
awesome.
The hub team's gonna have a strong presence in the Masters.
Well,
You,
it
Danny.
started was just me and Al, and then we had like five teams in the rookies. Now it's like we have four teams in the Masters. It's like everyone moved up. So it's
Right.
gonna be a whole different thing next year. So.
It's gonna be fun with Danny in there too, because Danny Higley, I love. He and I always kind of go back and forth about the standings, like when we were in the same league. So. And we motivate.
He moved up last year,
Yeah,
so
and we motivate each other. And same with you guys. Like I've never competed like consistently like against you guys, so it's going to be interesting to see.
Exactly.
If
we all fish alike, it could be anyone's game. So, alrighty. Well, that's Tom and Cash's season wrapped up, and looking forward to next season.
Here we come.
Yeah, old Tim McGraw over here.
Yeehaw!
I'm gonna get out of here and go fishing right now.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Go hit the water. Let's go. Thanks, guys.